Today on Criminal Minds, we talk about True North and the shocking truth. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV.
Yes.
We are here doing the Criminal Minds After Show, Season 12, Episode 19, True North. I'm your host, Marisa Serafini. You can follow me on Twitter at SeraphiniTV. Joining me, I have...
I'm Karina Vargas. You can find me everywhere on Twitter and Instagram at KarinaXVRGS.
And I'm Chris Howard. You can find me everywhere you don't find Karina Vargas. No, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Howard Live.
Yes, and Michelle's not with us this week, but she will be back for the next episode. True North. Real quick thoughts of this episode. Karina.
I liked it. I liked mainly the fact that, you know how in the last couple episodes the unsub has been kind of, how do I say it, like sentimental?
Empathetic.
Empathetic. And in this episode I kind of felt that a little bit as well, so I kind of enjoyed that.
Oh, you felt for the unsub in this episode. Did you feel for the unsub?
I didn't care about him.
No.
No, I could care less.
What did you not like?
No, I'm joking.
You said that so serious.
No, you did.
No, I liked the episode. I thought it was a good episode. I'm loving these Reed in prison episodes, but overall there was so much happening within this episode, so many things to talk about. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Absolutely. Let's start talking about it, shall we? Let's get, of course, with the regular case of the episode, the victimology and all that. So, and I'm probably going to butcher this. Segura Wilderness, Arizona.
Oh, come on, you could say toxicology or whatever it was you said last week. But
yeah, heck, no, I'm not saying that.
But this is called
again.
Segura?
This is Segura Wilderness, Arizona. It's east of Tucson, pretty much. And they find the guy, there's a guy going through the desert, and he finds money and keys, and then he stumbles upon the dead bodies. There's 3 bodies, all on poles and stuff. What were your quick thoughts of just seeing these bodies aligned this way?
I was just like, how did he get the poles there? Like,
how did he thought about poles?
Like, I thought of the staging of how he did that. I first thought there was probably more than one because it was like heavy rocks and like all that stuff. So I pictured mainly like 2 unsubs, but that's,
you thought there was 2 unsubs, especially for the boulders, because we find out that the unsub has to have a lot of strength to move the rocks.
Yeah, I thought something similar because the good thing was it kept me guessing because I was like, who could have done this? How many people does it take to move a rock? You know, how many?
Right.
Was it the Egyptians who did the pyramids? They got the sticks in the thing. You know, so I was going through all my thoughts.
Don't mess with those Egyptians.
Yeah, I didn't mess with the Egyptians. That didn't even come in. But yeah, I thought it had me guessing, and it was like, wow, what an interesting way to do it. I mean, they had the dog collars. They had all these little things that would send you potentially off in a different direction. So there were a lot of distinct details that were just very unusual in this. So they had a lot to sort through.
Yeah.
The blue things.
Did you think it was somewhat religious, like religion was involved with these killings? Because they did mention, you know, we had 3 aligned in a certain way. It could be a religious behavior behind all this. Did that ever occur to you? Did you think that?
That didn't really cross my mind, no.
It did when they said that there was some sort of a cult that was nearby. But once
that cult was funny.
Once they debunked the cult theory that
they don't even eat carrots.
It's like a quasi-religious cult that they don't even eat carrots because it comes straight from the earth.
Yeah.
There you go. They have breatharians and stuff like that, you know, that just believe that they just survive off of breath or just off of air.
Oh.
I believe it. There are some cults that are very extreme.
Right.
This particular, they were quick to kibosh any religious beliefs behind this.
But there was an after effect.
There was. I mean, Garcia, poor girl, she couldn't look at a carrot the same way afterwards.
She smelt it and everything and just...
That was funny.
She had one of the best lines. I'm just going to let you live your life.
Live your little life.
with your new friends.
That's me trying to eat healthy.
That was cool. I mean, it... they quickly put off religion, but it's set up for a good joke later.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was
that was funny.
And such true Garcia.
Right, true to her
form.
character, yeah.
Very, very much so. But these 3 bodies that they stumble across, the 3 different bodies, all in their early 20s, but all at different stages of decomposition. Also being baked in the sun doesn't really help, and it is kind of a countermeasure during. They couldn't figure the cause of death.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, one would think that dehydration would be right there. So you would assume that, unless they found out other details later. But yeah, I knew what was going on. I was thinking, what's going on in Marisa's mind as I'm watching this? And I go, okay, they found one at, 1 month of decomposition, one at 2 weeks. And I knew what she was thinking. She's like, they're getting closer. This means that the unsub is getting closer to their destination, or they're accelerating their pace of these killings. There's going to be something happening.
See, you're getting it.
And I was all over it. No,
it only took you 19 episodes, but yeah, you're getting the
I
pattern.
just asked myself, what would Marisa think?
Aww.
What would Marisa do?
Are you like really thinking that? Like,
I seriously
oh, man,
did.
What did Marisa think?
I did.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like I'm glad that's kind of rubbing off.
Thank you.
It's great. Yeah, so we had Oscar Benitez, who was the 1 month body, Carol Brandon, who was 2 weeks, and Peter Jones, who was less than a week, all in their 20s. But we realize there is a common thread between these 3. They are top scholars of their college, just coming back. Did you think education came into the way that they were being killed in the desert didn't really show on face value, surface level, didn't show that like a lot of education or intelligence needed to be done the way that they were being killing. But I
thought that their age was the main factor. That's what I thought at the beginning, until they started talking about their education and stuff, and I was like, oh, that also connects.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, because obviously they were all the same age, so it was a factor in the end. Yeah. But it was the scholarly achievements that was the standout thing. So yeah, that started to bond them together in that way. What I think, to your point, you had said that you had asked us if we thought that the intelligence came into it, and I think you mean the intelligence of the unsub.
Intelligence of the unsub,
right?
It didn't seem like a lot of intelligence was placed to.
I agree. Yeah, that was kind of like the hold off detail that we didn't get until later. It's like, really? So we're saying that the unsub is super intelligent, and he's, or at least he's above average intelligent, and he's probably working in a job that's below his education level. He's probably, there's some kind of conflict within him on that front of not being recognized. Yeah, so I didn't, the lack of recognition for his intelligence by the outside world or by his job or whatever it was.
I saw the education come into play when they used the blue sash.
Really?
Yeah.
So you recognize that as being a symbol?
I did.
But look at you.
I mean, because I'm not, admittedly, it wasn't valedictorian.
Because of season 4, episode 3, where
I know what it's like graduating with honors. Like you wear.
So blue
like,
ribbon is.
It depends on like whatever school or whatever traditions you have for your schools.
Did you go to school?
Yeah.
What did you study?
I was educated. Film.
There you go.
But I mean, we didn't wear sashes. We wore robes.
Blue ones.
Certain colored different robes. People had, I had to wear gold. Other people wore white. They signified different achievements when you graduated.
Gold. That's pretty high status, isn't
Gold. Yes. Graduating with honor. Not like.
You weren't trying to brag about that.
No, I'm just saying, like,
I had to wear gold. All the other people had to wear white.
I immediately knew the symbolism of wearing something in that manner.
Towards the beginning, I thought it was a scarf, and I thought it might have symbolized like his mom or something like that. But then once they talking about education, then I was like, yeah, that looks like a stash.
It was either that or it was Elvis doing the killings, and he was putting his scarves on the people.
Oh my
hey,
goodness.
baby, or just take that.
Well, we didn't have scarves, but we had lays.
We did, and yes.
The unsub had a lay.
Mother had a lay.
Let's get a little bit into the unsub. Later on, we realized that we learned his name is Ben Davis. But how they set up and established Ben, the unsub. Did you feel for him and his broken relationship with him and his mother?
That's where I felt sympathetic. When he came in and was like, I made you this lei because I want to take you to Hawaii and stuff like that. And then the way that his mom reacted, I was like, oh, like maybe that's the reason why he became a serial killer. That's where I felt bad.
Right. His mom was some kind of twisted person herself who never gave the father any credit and never gave him any credit. So you got to start to see that. But I mean, ultimately, no matter who you look at, if they're a serial killer, there's going to be some sort of a background that whether it's serial killer, serial rapist, whatever it is that they're doing wrong, there's going to be some sort of background that's going to contribute. So there's going to be a human element to it. You know, that people don't just, I believe that people don't just, you know, dysfunction without any kind of environmental conditions, you know?
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a backstory.
And we definitely got the backstory and the environmental stressor on
Right.
this unsub. We realized that he didn't achieve a certain level that could have actually helped him have a better life, a better career, a better job, better financial status, and that actually sets him off with all these serial killings because he could have had a better life.
So it was a science fair.
It was a science fair.
Comes down to the science fair.
And this is what was I don't want to say like far-fetched, but I couldn't understand. It's like something as simple as a science fair.
Well, it was a
Not
scholarship.
Yeah, it was a
winning,
scholarship.
you know.
It was a scholarship, so he didn't get to go to college, or he didn't go to college, and he blamed it on the lack of the scholarship from the science fair.
Yeah.
And he blamed it on the fact that also the person who won it wasn't highly intellectual either. So
Right, he was a
where
stoner.
Yeah. So he's
Yeah.
like losing out to someone who didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that was also a trigger for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Hence the reason why we got Joey Fletcher. He was the stoner
Right.
who got his comeuppance. In a way.
Comeuppance.
Comeuppance.
Is
He
that-
died.
That's the word for the day. Comeuppance.
He was a stoner and he died.
Yeah. Right.
Like
You don't care. She's like, she has very little love for stoners. I'll tell you.
I do, actually. But I thought it was interesting how they made this science fair something that apparently happened like 4 years ago. So again, some in the mid-20s. So that is someone who would be affected most by college and student loans and financial aid, and that's why he was triggering the same people who was part of.
Right.
Who's just part of they were in a way surrogates for people who had scholarships and had that better education that he could have had.
Right. Now, do we think that it was the mother that he was eventually headed toward anyway to kill? Was she was really the source of the rage?
I felt that Joey Fletcher was the main
The last
source.
kid?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
last one. Just because I feel like the other three were surrogates for him because he won the scholarship. So I thought maybe that's what happened.
Yeah. Did you see the unsub kill the mother? Like, did you see that coming?
No.
Oh.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. Yeah.
I thought that was the biggest surprise, shock death of this episode. I didn't actually think he was going to kill his own mom.
Right.
When I saw him pouring the water on the little tub thing, whatever.
We knew something was coming.
No, I thought that because he put the lay on her and stuff, I was like, okay, he's probably just gonna let her die like that, thinking like, oh, you're in Hawaii or something, kind of, you know, in that way. I didn't think he was gonna throw the.
Right. You're in Hawaii, Mom.
Yeah, that's what I initially
Close your eyes
thought.
and think you're there.
That's what I initially thought, that he was trying to make like a sentimental thing for her before she died.
Oh, no, I didn't
And then
think
shocking,
Hawaii at
he
all.
just threw it on there because he put the lay back on. So I was like, oh.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, I think the lay was kind of like an FU to Mom, though. Personally, it was like, yeah, it wasn't good
Yeah.
know, you know. And
yeah,
here, look, I would have won the science fair. You're
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
I thought the same way. That was
Yeah.
a big like FU in a way, because also the fact that, I mean, he got the fifth victim in this, Marla Grace, who was the CEO judge. She was the one who awarded Joey Fletcher the
scholarship.
winning prize scholarship and not him. So of course she's the one that gets caught in the middle of all this, but I felt bad for her, especially witnessing him kill his own mother right in front of her.
Yeah, and the actor played it pretty well. She was freaking out, and she looked really freaked out.
Yeah,
I like that.
Oh.
Thought some good acting on her part.
It was great acting, and we'll definitely get into the BAU team of this. But I thought it was a really twist, because, you know, we later learned on during all the profiling that shot collars, the water. That was their big twist on why the water, why the shot collars. You know, those two don't add up. But then we realized conductivity, and that's electricity, electrocution.
That was really interesting.
That's what I saw. I didn't envision Hawaii. You know, I saw, oh no, he's going to kill her.
So what was interesting to me was that the water would mask the burns of the dog collars. I would never have guessed that. Yeah.
They were used as the conductors to set off the dog collars for the
or to make it more intense.
Yeah.
But also they said to mask the burns.
Mask the burns. I was confused at the same line too. But they said the water was used as a conductor for the electricity, so he was electrocuting these guys.
Yeah.
Via shot collars, which Joey Fletcher
had one with.
So he literally killed Joey Fletcher.
A lot of stuff, but it shows the level of intelligence, though. Like this guy needed to occupy his brain somehow, and he was going to throw in all the bits and works, and a lot of symbology, symbology, symbolism. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
I got you. You got your back.
Yeah. I really liked it. You know what was interesting about this, because this is probably the first time, or I'm just going back over the 250 plus episodes we've had of Criminal Minds. This is probably one of the first times we had this case that was only solved by 3 of the team members.
Really?
3 of them. Oh. We had JJ. Well, I guess you can consider,
episode
Garcia
3
part of this, so technically 4. But we had JJ, Elvis, and Rossi, and Garcia, working on the sidelines. But that's it. These 3 are the main people figuring out this case.
Well, you guys said it. You guys said it, that every episode it appears that there's one that goes to work with Reed.
Yeah.
And it's a different one every time it's been, hasn't it?
Yeah, but like Prentice wasn't even really there helping with this case.
Right.
She was off to London talking to
how I wonder what it would be like for the actors being on this series, and they're only like sometimes they'll have 2 lines for an episode, or they come in and they do like a little guest. But that's kind of really unusual for a series.
Yeah, but that's also something that was like, I don't want to say suffer, but that's something you have to deal with when you're working with a big ensemble.
Right.
You do just get generally
I think they set out to prove that this series was not going to be based on any one individual. After their incident, it's like after who was it, Hutch at the left? It's like Hutch. Yeah, it's like this is not based on any one individual. Anybody can leave, and we're going to survive.
Well, and I mean the whole BAU team, you can't really pick out one that's like more important than the other.
The standouts,
and they've even established that from season 1.
Right.
That, like, the reason when they get their cases and they debrief, they're literally sitting at a round table, because it's like Knights of the Round Table. Everyone's equal. No one's the leader. Everyone works as an equal.
I like the Knights of the Round Table.
But that's what the creators of Criminal Minds, like, we purposely, I say we, like I
You're part of it.
The producers and the creators of the show, they like purposely had a round table so they all sit at when they're debriefing cases, because they work as a team, not one individual person's better than the other.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But this team felt very broken in this episode, considering we only had 4 people working on this case.
I feel like less and less of them are working on it, and more on like Reed too, and because Reed is gone too, so that's another member out.
Yeah, but let's get more into the BAU team. We had JJ, Elvis, Rossi, and Walker a little bit. So it's technically 5. I can't count, obviously.
That's okay.
I'm not good with numbers.
Relax.
But they were all stumped, though. Rightfully so.
There were a lot of details.
There were a lot of details that weren't adding up to each other.
Right.
I'm glad they figured it out, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things, each one seeming to be a really prominent clue. I mean, if there's something that's a standout as putting a blue ribbon around somebody, that seems like, wow, that's huge. There's some kind of meaning to that. And then there's the dog collar. That's huge, too. These big rocks, that's huge.
Boulders.
Right.
What did you think of Alvez's presentation when you figured it out he was doing a sundial?
I loved it. It was so funny. It was like Walker was like, "Oh, this isn't a 3rd grade show."
Yeah. Show and tell.
But it was creative, the whole stick and all the little papers rolled up. It was nice.
I mean, it's pretty impressive that he got to a sundial. because that's I
Yeah,
mean that's
me
a
too.
tough one to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially also realizing it goes in reverse order.
Right.
Not just realizing it's just a sundial. It's in reverse order.
That's a Sherlock Holmes moment. And then
There
to go back
is.
from 4, 3, 2, 1, and then to say that he's doing a countdown, that just tells you about the unused intelligence of this unsub. He's just like, you know, he's got so much creativity in the way he wants to kill people.
He should have won that scholarship.
Yeah, you're
They
right.
should have gave it to
Should have given
him.
him the damn scholarship.
Obviously, he was way more intelligent. Than
Maybe they should give
everybody
it to him
else.
in retroactively. Say, you know what? For killing those people that way, we're going to give it to you.
I think it's a little too
Yeah,
late
that is a little late.
because I don't think he'll ever make it to Hawaii, unfortunately.
Or college.
The mother certainly, probably, maybe not. I mean, I did like how
Yep.
Elvis tried to talk him. No, sorry, was it Walker? Walker tried to talk
Very
him down.
brilliant.
And was like, well, you can still bury her ashes or spread her ashes all over Hawaii. So in a way, you did get her to Hawaii, not in the way that you wanted to.
That was
But she
that
made
was
it
a
there.
brilliant move. Both of their moves, both
Yeah,
him and
JJ.
JJ. Yeah, great moves. I liked them.
Yeah, at first I couldn't figure out where JJ was
Right.
going until
Right?
yeah, I was
She
like,
just like ducked out of the scene real quick. I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
But
She's
what
like,
was
why are you
good
leaving
about
him
that?
alone?
What was good about that was that from the unsub perspective, you go, it would be imperceptible. You wouldn't be thinking, where did she go? It was like if it seemed like she was trying to ease the tension rather than, and she had a sneaky plan. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was like perfectly timed too when he tried to kill himself. I didn't really see that coming either. I didn't think he was going to try to end his life.
No, and I thought Alvez's trick would work because it was pretty smart.
It was.
It was.
Gotta get Elvis really had it this episode. He usually like every episode there's a moment where like one of the team members like has that one nugget of information that like sets off everything. They're like, I figured it out. And Elvis was the person who had it in this episode.
That was pretty good.
He had that piece of the puzzle.
Alves should have won the science fair.
Yeah. Well, he is an FBI agent, so like he already has that intelligence level. He belongs there. I really enjoyed it, and the tackle at the end. So that was good. I was like, tackle, yes,
Tackle.
do it, Elvis. It was Elvis who talked him down. Yeah, but then on the flip side, all the team members at home base, you had Prentice, who actually went to London to get Interpol. We're trying to get Reed out of prison.
Right.
Yeah, but
And we thought we were getting pretty close there.
we were really getting into
finding
it.
Scratch,
Yeah.
crossing the borders.
Yeah, so Prentice and Walker have a great idea that they find scratches in Honduras, crossing Latin America. So most likely he has been into Mexico, which lines up with working, against Reed and framing him. But Prentice and Walker have the great idea of getting the DOJ and counterterrorism center to get Scratch on the high watch list.
Right.
So they put him on the list, and then that can kind of help clear Reed too. It makes it a more serious case.
And it makes it more likely that they catch Scratch. I mean, because they've got, he's in everybody's sights now, not just the FBI.
And also trying to like pin it on like him trying to pin Reed. So I think that also kind of, if he was in high alert, that would help.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of sad, like how far that they have to go just to convince everyone that this is a legit terrorist. That they have to put him on a list just so they can maybe help Reed.
Well, what's nice about that is, especially with all the stuff in the current media and all the people that freak out about surveillance and who can do what and people looking into your lives, what they're doing is they're saying, hey, this is the process we have to go through. We have to go and apply over here. Then and we're going to bend the rules a little bit, but this is a legit case. We're going to bend the definition a little bit to try to make it fit in there. They'll do it, but we have to prove this. So you get to see the checks and balances that prevent
Of the
abuses.
government.
Yeah, that prevent governmental abuse. And you go, okay, yeah, I'm with that. I'd back that. Yeah,
Right.
get the guy.
Right.
You know?
I think it's really great though because we usually don't see this side of the government that they're working for.
Right.
And getting them on the international terrorists that sends alarm to everyone and makes the case just more legitimate.
Right.
And that can help Reed win his case.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. But yeah, Prentice goes all the way to London just to get Interpol to agree with this, and then also Walker gets the NSA and
God, look at this. This is the
involved.
FBI with all their friends, and they can't bust him out. Imagine if this happened to just a normal citizen who was set up this way. They'd be screwed.
Yeah,
they'd never
heck
get
no.
out.
Yeah.
They're in prison for life.
Yeah, exactly.
Forget that 2-year sentence.
Right.
Go 25 to max.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I thought it was interesting, and like I'm glad we kind of got some hope, a glimmer of hope, now that we have the big dogs actually involved in this case, that it's
Potentially involved in the
potentially
case. Right.
Well, they agreed to pretty much help this case if Reed has evidence in his testimonial that Scratch was physically in the room. They need tangible evidence, which understandably so, to help clear his name and exonerate him.
Right.
What did you think of Tara during all these cognitive interviews and how this all went down with Tara and Reed?
I think she was really trying to like help him remember, but she was like, "You're tired right now, so it will actually help." So that was, I don't know, I like that, how she was able to kind of break into his little brain and pick at it for a while.
Kind of that you get to see her personal bias though entering in, because typically in those interviews they're not supposed to lead at all, and she was leading all over the place, which was and maybe they're just trying to keep it real to life and say, hey, when there's personal bias this happens, but she's not. When he says there's blood all over, she says, oh, from the knife in your hand. She's not supposed to say that.
Yeah.
She's not supposed to say, no, you weren't stabbing him. She's not supposed to say, no, you weren't doing this.
Leading
or no,
the-
she
leading
was
the
leading the
witness.
whole thing just out of her sheer disbelief that that's not who he is. So that was kind of interesting to see how much of that was there. Because it was blatant and all over the place.
Yeah, they definitely bent the rules to try
Yeah.
just to get these cognitive interviews. I mean, they kind of lied about the PhD. I mean, she does have a
Right.
doctorate,
Right.
but not in that.
Yeah.
Right.
Not in get your stethoscope. That's great.
Piggy bank.
Act doctorly.
But even if it wasn't the FBI, anybody would break those rules. If it was somebody with a lawyer, they'd be able to break those rules too. So it's like it's all good, But the cognitive interview was kind of okay.
The way that they got her there was pretty sly, I'll
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
It was like, way to bend those rules a
Yeah.
little
Exactly.
bit. I liked it. I felt bad for Reed, though, in these moments, because you could tell he's just really morose,
Exhausted.
defeated, exhausted, and you can tell he's kind of on the tail end of giving up until, thank God for, Tara. She's like, no, this is your brain playing tricks on you and reconstructing false narratives. I was like, yeah. It's like,
See, you thought that.
keep
See, I
him
thought, well,
convinced.
shoot, he stabbed him. That stabbed her, and I thought, well, maybe he was trying to save her. Maybe she was suffering. Maybe there was, who knows what this was at this point.
Yeah, I like the 3 different versions of the cognitive interviews in this time. Though, like the first one, we had just like some delineation of what was going on. The second one, he actually came to the realization that he convinced himself that he killed her and was stabbing Nadi Ramos. But the third time was the most big
weird.
breakthrough.
Still strange though.
Yes, and so we got more new information. He's starting to clearly remember things. Spraying noise. So, and there was a mist over his shoulder. Someone was spraying mist into his face.
Now, when he was drugged
Yeah,
before,
that's-
when he was drugged before in previous episodes, did it happen with a mist
Well,
or a gas?
well,
Didn't
it wasn't
Scratch
for
do that?
research. Yeah, Scratch did that with his
Gassed 'em?
patients. He gassed them.
Because I remember where Scratch
face
got
mask.
Hodge, he kept on spraying him in the face. He kept on spraying Hodge, so I was like, okay, that matches with what he was doing to Reed.
Yeah, he sprayed Hotch in the face in last season, and the victims at the beginning of this season, he gassed them with the
Interesting.
face mask.
Huh. So what? Now here's the big strange part, though. He says, "Yes, it's him," and then he starts saying "she."
Yeah.
And then it's she. It's a woman. It's time
It
to go.
is.
Did you think it was going to be a woman?
I did not see that coming.
You know what I think?
I didn't.
I think it was Scratch, and he put on a wig. I'm serious. I'm serious
Okay.
because why else would he say it's him? It's Scratch. I see him, and then she says it's time to go. I mean, he clearly said I see Scratch. He clearly said that he was stabbing the woman too. So who knows?
Yeah.
But he said I see him. It's him, and then she says it's time to go. And they still have to place Scratch in the room to get him on this terrorism watch list, which I believe that they will. So that's going to be my bet.
So you think it's Scratch dressed up as a woman?
I do. Or there's a woman with Scratch.
There's a woman working for Scratch, definitely.
Yeah,
With Scratch. I think Scratch is
Yeah.
it.
Because I think it might be a woman working for Scratch, because how would his voice change if he was wearing a wig?
But he's drugged. It's like
Everything is
time to go.
distorted.
Yeah, everything's distorted.
Voice is
yeah.
distorted. Hearing is distorted. You could think a woman is a man.
That is true.
I realized it during the second cognitive interview that I was like, what if the big twist would be a woman? Because he kept saying he.
Right.
He. I think he said it like one too many times for me to start reeling. I was like, maybe it's not a he. Maybe it's a one. It's a she.
You are so
And then it came to the third time. I was like, it is a woman. But, you know, in fairness, I only found out this episode. I didn't predict this like episodes ago. But he kept saying he over and over again to the point where I was starting to believe it wasn't a he anymore.
But is there a woman that in his history that we know of that we would need to be aware of?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
trying
so
to
that's
think
that's
of.
the question. A lot of people, someone tweeted at me that it could be the woman from the episode Entropy, which was played by the actress Aubrey Plaza. When Reed went to the restaurant and was talking to the woman who tried to outsmart him that whole dinner conversation.
Yeah.
night.
Did her hair look like the hair in the end?
She was
there?
brunette.
I mean, she could have
Her
dyed
hair
it
was
blonde.
shorter. But yeah, the thing is, like, visually, even his distorted memories, we still can't delineate which woman it was, if it really is a woman.
Oh, you got a
That
point.
actually could be her. Because I remember towards the end of that episode, she said something like, when I get out, you won't remember, or something like that. She said something like that at the end. So it could be.
It
And
could
she was
be.
highly motivated?
Yeah,
Oh,
she definitely.
yeah, like, Reed completely outsmarted her and, like, made her, pretty much embarrassed her.
Is she super intelligent?
She was.
Yeah,
she
she is very intelligent, and that episode was just a game of wits, and Reed just outsmarted her and made her feel dumb at the end, to the point where she got vindictive, like,
Right.
oh, you're gonna remember me. So
It
Interesting.
could be.
it made her mad enough.
What season was that?
It gave her legit excuse. I believe it wasn't last season; it was the season before that, like season 10. 10.
But would it be rewarding to find out that it's her when all this time they thought it was Scratch?
But my thing is, if it was her, and that's just one out of the many people, they've put a lot of people away in prison, and they've dealt with a lot of different women. I'm just trying to think, what other woman have we seen that would know Reed, that has enough revenge to do this against him?
Right.
Yeah.
Enough motive.
Yeah, enough motive. We don't know.
What if she teamed up with
We don't
Scratch? What if she teamed up with Scratch?
But that's the thing, and I'm trying to go back to that episode. It's like, why? Like, how would she ever really know who Scratch was?
And I'm thinking, what if they just bring someone new into the story too? What if it's not even somebody who has been on the show before, and so it makes you think, what kind of role would she have?
Yeah.
Although the drugging, I mean, that's pretty particular. That's a pretty particular way of
It
attack.
is. It
Oh,
is.
yeah.
It's very calculated, and
Right.
to the point where, like, Scratch follows his victims. He pretty much, like, follows their entire life, knows who
Right.
they are, and gets personal with them.
What's the
And
likelihood
if
that
it
you
is-
would run into that with another perp or unsub? What's another perp? Yeah. What's the likelihood?
Not likely.
Probably not likely,
Especially
yeah.
if it's another woman who we don't know.
If it's a woman.
Yeah, if it's a woman who we don't know who's working with Scratch, what's her motive behind it? Unless it's just she's just working for
Unless
Scratch.
it's a wig and Scratch is putting on the wig.
And it could also be maybe a serial killer that ran off, because they haven't caught all of them, have they?
No.
I just
So
think
it could
it's
be that too. They
I
might
just-
have teamed up.
I think it's highly unlikely that anybody's going to use the same attack methodology that Scratch uses, unless they went to school on Scratch. And they said, okay, we want them thinking it's Scratch, which could be the brainiac woman. You know, it's possible.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, the episode where all the serial killers escaped from prison. Was there a woman serial killer
Yeah,
amongst
that's
them who could have paired up with Scratch?
That's
There's
what-
so many.
I know there
And that's the problem. It's like, they've literally dealt with so many serial killers, you can't pinpoint which one it is.
No, but why? Check it out. Why would this woman dangle keys at the end and say time to go?
Fleeing the scene.
Yeah, but who's she talking to?
Talking to Reed.
Well, Reed,
Obviously to
So
get
she's
him
saying,
out.
I'm about to leave. It's time for me to go, or it's time for us to go?
It's time to go. Just, it's time to go. Very clear.
It's time to go. Do I say that? I mean, am I going to hold my keys and jingle them? Time to go. Doesn't that seem
And
to be
she
like...
left.
Yeah, but doesn't that seem to be a move that you do when you're talking to somebody as a let's go, it's time to go, here, you got your keys, rather than it's time to go, I'm going? It seems like a move that you're talking to somebody.
You're reading way too into this, Chris. Literally, people do that all the time.
Do they really?
They just jingle the keys. Hey, time to go.
Really?
Yes.
You've done that?
Normal human beings do that, Chris.
Shit.
Outside of your circle.
No, well, because when Reed was talking during the interview, he was like, he says it's time to go, and it's like she wanted him to chase her. That's
And
what he
that's-
said.
now
It's
there you
like
have a
he
point.
wanted me to chase her.
He said that?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Wanted Reed to chase her.
Huh. I wonder why.
Yeah, because, he says it's like she wanted me to chase her because she left the room,
I missed that part.
gave the keys to him, and she left the room.
Got it.
So I think it just shows, also
it's-
fleeing the scene
Yeah.
adds to
What was happening.
the
Which could
Got it.
also
case.
be she wanted him to follow her so that he had the car in which they had the drugs in.
Right. So it adds to the notion of the setup.
Yeah.
Now, the
It's like luring someone into a trap.
right. You're right. The other thing that I had asked was the keys that they found in Arizona. I guess, do you remember the guy finds
Yeah.
keys, then at the end they're jingling keys. I'm like, are those the same freaking keys? But I guess probably not. If they found the keys in Arizona, there wouldn't be a connection. And why would it be at the scene of the other murder?
Yeah.
It was just-
because, first of all, what happened with Reed was down in Mexico,
Right.
not Arizona.
Yeah, okay.
So, but, I mean, there could have been...
It was just an
could've been
interesting
a
kind of tie-in. There's keys in the
coincidence.
beginning and
There's
keys at the end.
there.
Yeah.
But I think it was more like keys to unlocking this mystery.
Right.
So, I don't know. I can't predict which person who it could be. If it is now a woman, it changes everything.
Right.
And she was blonde, so I'm trying to think back.
Yeah,
Looks like she
once
was
again,
sandy blonde.
he went to saying it's him. I see him, and then he says it's a woman. I think it's Scratch, and I think Scratch put on a wig.
Interesting. We have to get more. He has to get more lucid to remember this. He needs
Right.
some sleep. He needs 8 to 10 hours of sleep, and then do this interview once again.
But how could he do that in prison?
Very true.
And what happens
hope we're
when
not-
all these guys figure out that he's the one who switched out the ammonia with their
Oh, that's another issue that he has to deal
with their drugs?
Because that's the problem. If any of those guys died, that he could go down for murder. Just for that, that's a whole nother case.
if he ever says anything about it,
Yeah.
he
Well,
might not.
the guard knows.
The guard doesn't know it's him. He said it was a bad batch.
Yeah, but the guard could probably figure it out.
You would
Yeah.
think,
He was the only one in that cell block who was unaffected.
right?
So I was like, one person probably, one guess who. That's a whole nother issue that we
Yeah, but that
yet
just
to
means
deal with.
yeah.
Anything else about this episode? It's a woman.
It's
It's a woman.
it's a woman. I think it's Scratch. Is that what you think?
Maybe.
I think
it's
he's
Scratch with a
involved. I
wig.
think he's definitely involved, but I don't know if it's him.
Scratch with a wig. Do we have? You had a piece of information.
I
didn't
had
you?
my one fun fact
Is
for
that profile? Okay.
True North, because I don't really.
Hold on. You didn't do your profile thing, really.
Oh, profile. There you go. I gotta get better at that. True North, which is aka geodetic north, for those who may not know, is the direction along the Earth's surface towards the geographic North Pole. There are some compasses that generally point in the direction north, just so hikers, travelers, you can kind of get the sense of true north. But actual true north, it differs from the magnetic north, which you find in most compasses, because it points towards the magnetic north pole from the grid north, the direction along the grid lines of a map or projection. So it's more precise by at least 1 degree that points true north geographically on a map compared to, a cheap compass you would
That's
buy
pretty
at a
amazing
store.
that they picked that piece of information up. You would who would have thought that they would have gotten true north from magnetic north if it's just one percentile?
Well, like I never really realized it. I just think north is north,
Right.
or like the general direction of north.
Right.
But there's a difference between something that's more precise and accurate,
Right.
which is geodetic true north.
Like right where
Okay, true north.
Santa Claus is.
Yeah.
Right.
And you find all of his elves
Totally.
as well. But it's more precise for coordination.
No wonder
They're like
nobody finds him.
Yeah. Because
They're looking magnetic north,
they're using
right?
their cheap compasses that they bought at a store, so they need geodetic north, which I thought was interesting. So for those who don't know, there's your fun fact of the day. All right, I think we kind of like talked about our predictions, and we kind of like went through that. But unfortunately, we're off for the next 2 weeks. So we have 2 weeks off. We'll be back April 27th. The episode airs April 26th, 2017, putting a timestamp on the show. For those who know, who are watching live. Yeah, we're off for 2 weeks because we didn't see a preview for the next. So we don't know what's going to happen.
No clue. And how many more episodes are there left in the season then?
Usually they go from like 22 to 24, so.
And we're on 19, is
We're
it?
on 19. We have at least,
5 more or so.
yeah
After
around
2
there.
weeks. Wow.
Reed's going to be in prison for a long time.
Yeah, he's gonna
At
be there
least
till the
5
finale.
At least 5 more episodes.
But
All right.
I think it's becoming more and more clear about the whole setup nature of what happened rather than just. But
Yeah.
I guess it was clear from the beginning. I just didn't want to accept it.
Well, also the frustrating thing is that like he has to testify under oath in court that Mr. Scratch was physically in the room with him. But if it's a woman who's not Mr. Scratch, I don't know if that's going to help
Right.
him.
That's why I think it is Scratch.
You think so?
I think
Okay. Do you think so, Karina? Do you think it's actually
I think
Scratch?
he's involved. I don't know if that's him in the wig, but
Yeah, he's definitely involved. He's definitely involved. I still think he's involved with the prison and working
The prison
with
See-
guards and
Reed's
stuff like
everyday
that.
life.
See, it just becomes more acceptable for those of us who cross-dress.
All right,
Okay.
with that,
Anyway.
all right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in every week and joining the live chat and commenting away. Where can everyone keep following you?
you guys can find me on social media at Karina XVRGS.
And find me at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all those fun social media places at Serafini TV. And you can follow AfterBuzz at all those fun social media places at AfterBuzz TV. Thanks for tuning in, rating, commenting, subscribing. And we will see you next episode. We're off for 2 weeks, but we'll see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.